then you have the the groups in northwestern Syria that are were considered opposition and are still considered opposed to Bashar al-Assad's regime, but are backed by Turkey. So those guys are primarily in Idlib, the Idlib province, or on the border. So Turkey actually carved out some territory and kicked out a bunch of Kurds from those lands so that they wouldn't pose a threat to Turkish, I guess, national security. The Kurds and the Turks obviously have a lot of bad blood and a bad history there. So yeah, what happens in Syria obviously pertains a lot to what happened to Turkey when it comes to the Kurdish issue. They don't want to see a Kurdish state, right? Obviously. So the Turks are very much set in the north, with the militias that they back, who are Sunni militias, and then in the rest of the country, it's pretty much the regime. You still have pockets of ISIS in some parts. Like ISIS just pops up here and there. It isn't completely gone in Syria or in Iraq. We can talk about that a little later. But so
Mm.
yeah, pretty much those are the main groups in Syria now, backed of course by different countries. Um, the regime obviously being backed by Russia and Iran, but Russia is playing the role of, we're the dominant force here. They've always wished to have a presence on the Mediterranean, a naval presence, and they have that. And so they want to be the final decision maker or one of the last decision makers when it comes to anything pertaining to Syria. But not only that, they want to project their power beyond Syria. So Israel, whenever Israel has any issues, they don't go and talk to the Americans about what's happening in Syria. They go and talk to the Russians. Um, so so that's Russia. Iran is there. We mentioned in a previous episode, they're pushing hard to try and have a permanent presence in Syria, so that they could push the idea, the false narrative that I believe is a completely bogus and false narrative, which is resistance to Israel. So the idea is to have a presence right there in like the border areas. But they have a huge presence in eastern Syria too, where they're building a lot of Shia religious and cultural centers. They're really pushing for demographic change. They're getting people to switch over, like Sunnis switch over to Shia, to becoming Shia, and so they're also
Well, I think
they're doing a lot of the, like, in the border areas by Lebanon and then in the south and in Damascus as well. They're really trying to buy up as much land as possible, but not only buying, but taking up by force as well. So we can get into like some of that stuff later.